We've just finished building this garden room that we're going to use as a home office, and so now we need to furnish it. We have some really fun ideas that are coming up on how we're going to do various pieces of furniture in here, but we're going to start out with one of the maybe less inspiring pieces of furniture, but most important pieces, the office desk. Nothing is ever as simple as you think it's going to be, not even building an office desk. But the truth is, sometimes to do the job well, you need to spend a bit of extra time planning out the bigger picture. Because not only do we want two large desks, we also want a nice piece of cohesive interior design that also gives us some storage unit, some shelves on this wall, acoustic treatment in the room, and a large logo, which are all projects that we've got planned for the future. And I think after a lot of discussion, we found a solution that is simple, practical, and it's going to serve us really well. And that's to have a large desk here, that's 2.2 meters wide, and then another one that's mirrored on the other side of the room. With that kind of idea in mind, we started looking at purchasing a desk, but the truth is, to get a desk that's big enough and provides reasonable ergonomics, it gets really expensive, and also they're never going to fit the room perfectly, and anything that isn't full width is really just wasted space in the room. So the solution for us is to build it out ourselves. By far the best way we've found of supporting a fitted desk like this is to use timber battens around the walls. This will give you a really bomb-proof support structure, but it will also be invisible. To support the timber battens, you want to screw into the studs in the walls, and to find those studs, you can use a stud finder, but they can be a little bit hit and miss. A magnet, on the other hand, will always find the screws that support the plasterboard, and those screws always go into a stud. On top of that, we know that our stud spacing is every 400 millimeters. So if we move 400 millimeters along from our first magnet point and find a second magnet point, then we know we're on target. And then we pre-drilled the battens for fixings, and then we added brackets to secure the desk top to the battens. You'll need to use brackets that have slots in them to allow for expansion and contraction of the desktop. Particularly important if you have a solid wood desk, less important if you have an engineering material like MDF. And then with everything prepared, all I need to do is screw the battens to the wall. I'm aiming for a final desk height here of 775 millimeters. So I've cut a piece of CLS to the right height so that I can lay the batten on top, and I don't have to worry about getting the height as I'm also trying to get the level. And it's important here that you do get the perfect level as you fix it to the wall. And then of course you also need to put battens at the sides. One tip here is the battens can squirm as you put them tight. So if you put a clamp on the connection between the sides and the back battens, then this will keep everything flush as you tighten them up. We found with this particular batten that we didn't have a stud exactly where we needed it, so instead we have to put a fixing straight into the plasterboard. We could have used standard plasterboard wall plugs, but since this connection needs to be really solid and those wall plugs can sometimes not be the best connection, we're going to use these hollow wall anchors instead. You simply put them into the gun, put the whole assembly into the hole, and after you squeeze the gun, it all pulls tight and forms a really solid connection. We can then secure the batten to the wall, again making sure everything is level. That is the battening complete, and this is my favorite way of installing a desk. It's simple to do, it's absolutely rock solid, and once the desktop's on, it's completely invisible. So what are we going to do for the desktop? This was once again a source of debate, and we considered all kinds of different options. A solid hardwood panel glue-up would be the nicest option, but this timber's actually been earmarked for the next project to go into the garden room, And to be honest, it felt a little bit extravagant for the simple desk that we really need and would be functional in the space. We could do the same in pine, but to be honest, we've done that in the past and we want to do something different. We could maybe go for birch ply, but it's not special enough and the price of it is ludicrous anyway. We could go for a kitchen worktop, which there's lots of beautiful kitchen worktops that are basically ready to go, but the problem with those is that a good office desk is 800 millimeters deep for ergonomics, and kitchen worktops either come in 600 or 900, so it began to get quite wasteful, and then the cost started to creep up with all the waste that you're creating. So we considered various other options and eventually came round to oak veneered MDF. Now, in truth, oak veneered MDF was one of our first choices and something we decided upon quite quickly, but just as we decided upon it, it seemed like every timber yard in Scotland just went out of business and we had a heck of a job sourcing it. But after a month or two, we managed to finally source some good quality oak veneered MDF and we've got it here. So the next job is to fit it into the garden room because nothing is ever square, and then put some kind of edge treatment on to both make the edges look a bit nicer, but also to give the desk a little bit more structure. As I said, in construction, nothing is ever square. This is partly because it's impossible to build a truly square room, but more so it's when you plaster the room. Particularly in the corners, you tend to feather in the corners, which means that they protrude a little bit further than the main center point of the room. The approach we took to solving this problem was to bring a board in that we knew was perfectly square, and then if we pushed it into the back left corner like that, and then projected along with this straight edge to the right corner, we then had a reference edge to start from. From that point, we were able to measure from the front back at given points, and from that right edge of the board to the left and to the right. That gave us a few points in space that once we connect the dots, we have the shape of the desk. We can then plot those points onto the MDF and then with the track saw connect the dots. And then it's time for a test fit. We've done enough of these in the past to know that usually we have to go back and forth a few times before we do narrow in on that perfect fit.
What? No. 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 No, we didn't just do that first time.
I am so pleased with that. It's not often that you get a perfect fit first time. I promise there was no camera trickery. Also, we're getting a sense of just how big these desks are going to be. It's going to be a really nice space to work on. The one thing I did cheat on is this front section here. We're getting a little bit of sag, which we had anticipated and not worried about yet, because we're going to have storage units either side, which will reduce the span, but we also need to add some edge treatment to get rid of this horrible MDF edge. And in the process of doing that, we can add a lot of extra structure to the front edge. To reinforce the front edge, first of all, we're going to use a little bit more of the oak veneered MDF to bulk out that front edge. These stock guides are new to us in the workshop, but something we've had our eye on for some time. Normally they can be difficult to fit to job site table saws like this, but because of the fence extension that we have fitted that we made in a previous episode, they're actually quite easy to bolt onto the extrusion using a few T-bolts and nuts. This is our first time using them, and I have to say I'm really pleased with them. For cuts on material like this, they make life so much easier by holding the material down and into the fence, meaning you get no more squirming and all I need to do is push the material forwards. If you do cut a lot of sheet material, this is a really good upgrade. And then we pre-drill some holes for screws that we'll use to secure it later on. And if you're wondering why there's two of them, it's because we're building two desks at the same time. And then we glue and screw it down, making sure that the front edge is nice and flush. For the front edge itself, we're going to use solid oak. This will both look good and also provide a lot of extra strength to the front of the desk. We're going to process rough sawn timber down to a piece that we can actually use, but if you don't have all this equipment, you can just buy it off the shelf ready to go. One thing we hadn't thought of until we reached this point was that when the desk is being lowered into place at an angle, because the additional depth of the desk now, it could jam up between the walls, so we cut in this additional chamfer. I then put the edge into place, ensuring that the top surfaces are perfectly aligned with each other. I then use a knife to mark the location that I need to cut away, which I do over at the miter saw. And then to maintain the alignment of the top surfaces during glue up and add a little bit of extra strength, I added dominoes. You could also use biscuits or dowels to achieve the same effect. I must admit I overthought things a little bit here and I staggered the dominoes up and down, which I don't think was necessary at all. And then we add a round over to the front of the trim and we're ready for glue up. See if you can spot our extra helper in this phase. He's been briefed to keep nice and quiet, so you might not notice him.
Oh, Addy up! Addy up! Ada! Mommy!
Oh. Oh dear. Oh no! Right,
The whole thing, you do the tapping, or do we have to tap simultaneously?
it's not too bad. Just a minute, Lily. Okay. The glue is now dry and I'm really pleased with the results that I've got. The only slight issue I have is a bit of staining from the glue on the edges. I could easily fix that with a bit of sandpaper, but the oak veneer here is paper thin, or probably thinner than paper. So before I go ruining the whole desk, I think I need to do a sample piece just to see how vulnerable the oak layer actually is. So I have a pad of 120 grit and I've turned the sander speed down, so we'll see how it goes. I'm pleased about that. I was putting a fair bit of force in here to make this happen. So as long as I keep it light, which should be more than enough to take the glue off, I'm going to be good. But I'm still going to be really cautious with how I go and only give it the lightest touch. And now it's time to apply some finish. It's about 4 or 5 hours later now and I've come out to put a second coat on. So just a note on the type of finish I'm using. I like hard wax oils because I think they give the most natural finish, and I've chosen to go for Fiddy's hard wax oil because I think it's the most durable product out there. I'm going to jump in here and say that yes, Fiddy's is a great product and it is really durable. But when we were applying it to the desks here, we started to question, is this really the best product for our application? And I don't think that it is. So in our next video, we're going to do a test on all the different hard wax oils that are commonly available, find out which one is the best one for us, including a new competitor to the market that if it's half as good as we hope it is, then it could really completely change our workflow and really be, I hate to say it, but game changing for us. So if that's of interest, watch out for it in our next video. And then the trick that I found is between coats, rub it down with one of these scouring pads, and it's a particular kind of scouring pad, so I'll put a link down in the description down below. The first coat can raise some of the nibs, so you just rub it lightly over the surface and you'll feel it's a lot smoother than the areas you haven't done. If you do that before your second coat, you'll get a much nicer finish. And then with the desk nearly finished, we have to drill a couple of holes. First of all, one hole for a monitor stand, and then a couple of holes for cable ports. We use a jig for the cable ports to minimize tear out and to keep that hole nice and square. And then for the last time, we can install the desk. You can also see here the IKEA Alex units that we have underneath that will be our storage and a little bit of extra support for the desk. We can then screw down the desk. This adds a surprising amount of additional strength to the desk, as well as holding it in the correct position. Remember when you put your screws in to put the slots in alignment so that it can expand across the grain, although with MDF it really doesn't matter. And now let's turn this room into an office. One of the perks of creating videos for YouTube is once in a while you're offered a freebie, and that's particularly nice when the freebie you're offered is also something you've been eyeing up for the last little while. In the world of YouTube, I'm not sure if this is considered an advert or not. What I can say is the chairs were provided for free, but we're under no obligation to say anything and we weren't paid anything. If you are looking for a chair, I can say that these are particularly comfortable chairs with a lot of adjustability. I went for this version, which is more office orientated and ergonomics focused, whereas my wife went for a different version that's more style focused. If that's of interest, there's links down in the description. In the next video, we're going to look at wood finishes, and then after that, we're going to start making other pieces of furniture for this garden room. Until next time, cheerio.